Guy Incognito. We've got a theme going on for these first few ones. Guy is some regular guy who entered Moe's Tavern, and for whatever reason, they thought he was Homer in a disguise. Like, they thought he looked like Homer, even though he doesn't at all, and they also weirdly thought that Guy Incognito was just some bad fake name that Homer made up, even though that's like a perfectly regular name, and I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, this guy gets fairly untreated, only for Homer to then step in and have them realize that it wasn't him, since he entered in after Guy Incognito got thrown out. But this guy is a very polite-seeming man who really should come back. Huge ass. So this is another dude with a perfectly fine normal name and a very polite, likable personality, and Bart prank called Moe asking for huge ass, kind of as like a joke, but despite not really sounding alike, Moe thought he was saying huge ass, and so then Hugh got on the phone, and he was very, very nice to Bart. It's just such a lovely moment, and, Bart just comes clean, he's like, I was just trying to fuck with Moe, and then he was like, oh, well, better look next time, and another very likable scene for someone who's very underrated. Joey Jojo, we'll just call him that for short. So this is another guy who was treated like Guy, where for whatever reason, people thought that this was just some name that Homer made up, but no, so Homer threw this guy unrightfully under the bus and made him cry, just making up this name and saying he wants nothing to do with him, and, Joey Jojo is another victim of Robopuppy mistreatment alerts, and Joey Jojo deserved so much better than this, like the rest of the two guys that we talked about beforehand, and these three really need to get together and start, like, a form or something. Borts. So this is the one entry that refers to two characters, at least, and, so this is another naming joke, but again, it's kind of weird, because Bort is a completely common name, so I don't know what the deal with this is, where Bart was looking for his name in the Itchy and Scratchy store, like, under a license plate or whatever those are, and he couldn't find it, but he found Bort instead, of course, and this kid who's also named Bort found one. He was like, oh, look, it's me, and then his mom pulled him away kind of brashly, and, this silly guy behind is like, well, are you talking to me? And no, my son is also named Bort, and it's a very famous scene that everybody loves and is referenced a lot, and probably people even outside of the show have heard of, so these two are very well known, despite the fact that they only appeared this one time for this one gag. Mathemagician. This is a guy with a very unique appearance who had, again, one scene, but it's a very funny and memorable one, and you just gotta love that design. That's like the catch of all of these dudes, being that he showed them the magic of equations, and at Martin's awesome birthday party, and, he started doing long division, and Lisa tried correcting him that 7 goes into 28 4 times. I believe he mistakenly thought it was 3, at least that's how I remember it, but no, it's totally clarified that it's a magic 7, and, if they ever make, like, a Simpsons kart racer or something of very limited cast, this dude has to be in it. Street cleaner. Yes, this random being with no real specific name or reason or anything. This dude appeared one time in Bart Sells His Soul, but what a moment it was. Bart nearly gets run over by the street cleaner, bending his bike, and it gets crushed and swept underneath it, or at least so you think, because it's revealed to be perfectly fine after that. There's one joke, but then immediately after that we see that the street cleaner dude, for whatever reason, ran over his bike on purpose and is seen laughing evilly at Bart as he drives away, which is another joke, and then immediately after that he drives down, like, the subway staircase because he's not paying attention, he's looking at Bart, and it's just such a funny, random, crazy scene that's just full of, like, joke after joke, and just a handful of seconds it's around, and this dude just being like this for absolutely no given reason makes it all very iconic. Old Jewish man. How many of you knew that this guy was even called that? Like, I mean, I guess he has the accent, but there's like not anything too obvious that shows that he's a Jewish or anything. It's not even at all a defining personality trait for him, but this is the weird old dude who appears sometimes, like when there's like a big group or they want to do like a funny senior joke and grandpa isn't around, and he's just there to be goofy and silly and unhinged, and there he is with his pants down and having a good time. And this guy, when you think about it, is one of the most cheerful, like, senior residents of Springfield from the retirement home, because everybody else is just always so gloomy and angry at everyone. But now this dude's got more clearly made. And side note, for a while I thought his orange outfit was like a prison jumpsuit, but no, he just dresses that way. Dr. Colossus. So we got another thing going on with these next two, and Dr. Colossus appeared in one scene again during the classic era, late into it, where he was in jail and, Chief Wiggum is talking him down, and he tries to escape but fails. However, I believe he is released soon afterwards, and despite that, he just has such a unique appearance and name as we're going with these, and he also is in the crowd shot for 22 short films, with the same kind of joke going on, and people really like him for all of this, and he's continued to appear in a lot of, like, media for The Simpsons ever since, and he's kind of become iconic just for that one reason, making him quite the purest Glup Shitto. Human Fly here, hello. So this guy is in a similar vein, Dr. Claus, of like the superhero and super villain thing, and like, you kind of just naturally have to think of one after the other. Human Fly, however, I feel like hasn't appeared as much as Dr. Claus at all. I don't know if they're in as much media as the Doctor or not, but, he was also in one scene for one joke, but he's got a very similar thing going on, and I like to think that this dude and Dr. Colossus have a thing going on with each other, whatever that may be. Sideshow Raheem. Ending this layer off on a good one. This is one of my favorites too. Sideshow Raheem really had one super notable appearance where, Bar of Darkness, he was unwillingly watching all the throwback stuff for old Krusty. And we got to 70s Krusty, and we saw him with Sideshow Raheem's one scene that we seen from the Krusty show. And it's such a hilarious moment. It's one of my favorites in the entire series, where Krusty's just awkwardly like, it says I'm supposed to hit you on the head with this mallet, and Sideshow Raheem's just like, I wouldn't do that, and Krusty's described him as a very angry individual. He's just always standing real sternly with the same face whenever he appears, and he's had some small appearances ever since, like for whenever something happens with Krusty, like if he supposedly passes away or something like that. It's cool how they kind of stay connected despite all that, and after how much time is passing. Sideshow Raheem, he's a big deal because he's the only Sideshow character who we've seen was Krusty's assistant before the series started, because, it started with Bob, and then, of course, Sideshow Mel replaced Bob, but before all that, we had Sideshow Raheem, and he is awesome, one of the most powerful characters in the whole Simpsons franchise.